Welcome to Hannity. It's going to take the full hour to get all of this in. We're going to break this down. We'll give you all the news and information the mob will never give you. Here's what's happening. We'll start with a summary. The psychotic anti-Trump hysteria, it has now completely overtaken the entire Democratic Party. What is happening is dangerous to this country. It is grossly political, will forever alter how any president in the future, as in his constitutional role as commander-in-chief, will be able to communicate freely with other world leaders. The world is less safe and secure tonight as a result of yet the latest partisan witch hunt. We'll break it all down. What we have, though, at the root of all of this is an irrational hatred. Trump rage. It is all this party, the Democratic Party, now stands for today. And I will predict tonight, they have done Donald Trump a huge favor. It will all backfire and blow up right in their face. Speaker in name only, Nancy Pelosi, she was forced to cave to a radical base and announce an official impeachment inquiry against President Trump. By the way, that's what we've been living through for the last 3 years. So make no mistake, this has nothing to do with Ukraine. This has nothing to do with collusion. This has nothing to do with high crimes and misdemeanors, because there are none. This has everything to do with the left's unyielding, unhealthy, what is an obsessive compulsive hatred of President Trump. They can't accept that he won. That was November of 2016. They're still there. And I think they even doubt they can beat him at the ballot box, which is why they are trying to do this now. You know, he occupies every single conscious thought in their minds. It's like the moment they wake up to the moment they fall asleep. Donald Trump lives in the heads of these psychotic Democrats and their friends in the media mob. He kind of lives there rent-free every hour of every second of every day. It is a sickness, but now it's officially hurting the country as it rules their lives. So what are the grounds for impeachment? According to Pelosi today, it's all about President Trump's phone call with his Ukrainian counterpart. Keep in mind, President Trump ordered the transcript before Nancy Pelosi's big announcement that it's going to be released. That will happen tomorrow. I have numerous sources telling me tonight that the only thing the president discussed with the new president of Ukraine, well, was what he ran on, which is ending corruption, which the new Ukrainian president pledged to do. And by the way, does anyone care at all that our president is being spied on again? We'll get into a lot more of that tonight. What foreign leader has happened? We have transcripts now of the president's conversations with prime ministers and presidents. Well, what foreign leader will ever again be willing to freely talk to a U.S. president? And we'll have more on that in a moment. But according to reports, the whistleblower complaint about the call, that will be released by the end of the week. But the radical socialist Democrats, they just couldn't wait another second. They don't care that they haven't seen the transcript of the call. They don't care that the so-called whistleblower was never a whistleblower, and this is secondhand information or hearsay, had no direct knowledge of what happened on that call. They don't care that Ukrainian officials, that's right, and others that actually know what happened on the call have all vehemently denied the so-called whistleblower's accusation of pressure or any quid pro quo. And multiple sources confirming again to me tonight that there is no quid pro quo. But according to Nancy Pelosi, it doesn't even need to be a quid pro quo in order to impeach. Watch this insanity unfolding earlier today.
We have many other, shall we say, candidates for impeachable offense in terms of the Constitution of the United States. But this one is the most understandable by the public. And it's really important to know this. There is no requirement there be a quid pro quo in the conversation. If the president brings up he wants them to investigate something, that's of his political opponent. That is self-evident that it is not right.
Oh, like a dirty Russian dossier. Oh, you only care if you can bludgeon Trump and tell Vladimir he'll have more flexibility after the election. Well, what about, oh, let's just offer Iranian mullahs that want to blow us up and, well, wipe Israel and the U.S. off the map. We'll just give them $150. Those are the conversations they have. All right, Nancy, hold your vote. If you're so worried, let's do this. Let's see how far the radical Democratic Party is willing to take this baseless political stunt. I say to the Speaker, well, in name only, order the call. Call the roll, Nancy. I want every one of your Democrats on the record. I dare you to do it. Now, I'm sure the real Speaker, that would be Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, will demand it. And I also predict you're probably going to buckle because you know your job's on the line and you are not in control of your caucus at all. So let's get this on the record. Let's see Democratic lawmakers, ones from, oh, look right there. Those are all Democratic lawmakers that won districts that Donald Trump won. Let's get them on the record. Do they have the courage to do that? Will they support impeachment over nothing? Will they trash the will of their own constituents? Will they continue to waste time, taxpayer money over deranged political folly that will go nowhere in the U.S. Senate? And by the way, Congressman Golden, Congressman Maloney, Congressman McAdams, Congressman Susie Lee, and all the rest of them there, what do you say? 31 members of Congress must now come out of hiding. We want to know where you stand on your leader of your party. Do you answer to your constituents, or are you joining the squad of radical socialists that want to ban cows and planes and get rid of the lifeblood of our economy, oil and gas, and tax America into oblivion and destroy the greatest wealth-creating system ever designed by man? And by the way, do you want that as much as you want to destroy President Trump? Because, frankly, I have no faith that you will make the right decision. After all, your so-called leader, Nancy Pelosi, is now totally and completely controlled by a couple of freshman lawmakers in Congress and a chairwoman who doesn't know the difference between Crimea and Korea. This is the state of this new radical extreme Democratic Socialist Party. Everything's going to be free. For 3 long years, they have put this country through hell, and they haven't lifted a single finger, nothing, to make this country a more secure country, a better place with more jobs, more opportunity, more economic growth. What are their plans to boost American industry and create jobs? Where are their plans to keep Americans safe and secure? Where are their plans to solve the murder crisis in America's biggest cities like Chicago and all the other Democratic-run cities for decades that are experiencing horrible schools, horrible violence? Because the answer is nowhere to be found. That is what today is about, because Democrats, they have now spent 3 years hyperventilating every second, minute, hour of every day about one anti-Trump hoax after another. Russia, 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 stormy, 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 impeach, impeach, impeach. Oh, collusion, collusion, tax returns, obstruction, obstruction, Ukraine, Ukraine. How does any of this rage help any American? If 3 long years you have dragged this country and this president, a duly elected president, through the mud, and we're about to see all of the corrupt dealings and handling of, intelligence and all the lying and all the conspiracy theories that were peddled by the corrupt media mob in this country, and then to top it off now, no world leader will ever want to have an honest phone conversation with any president of the United States. Is that good for our safety and security? I would think it's a good thing that we have enumerated powers in the Constitution, and we have, yes, one commander-in-chief at a time, and I can't think of a single time in the history of this great country before Donald Trump where a president's phone calls with other world leaders were repeatedly hacked into and leaked to the public. Now it happens left and right. Who leaked the contents of the president's call with the Australian prime minister? Who leaked the whistleblower, well, that's not a whistleblower, claims about the call with the Ukrainian president? Trust has now forever been destroyed. Every world leader that gets on the phone with a U.S. president is going to say, oh, this is probably going to be leaked one day. That will not be an honest conversation that could potentially advance peace in the world. And yet every House Democrat, all they seem to care about is their insatiable urge and compulsion to impeach Trump. That is why tonight the real leader of the Democratic Party is very pleased. Take a look.
I think that we all, many of us, especially from districts that are experiencing the brunt of the president's decisions, have been feeling a sense of urgency around this. But I think the development around the whistleblower, I think these developments are exactly, where we need to be going.
All right, tonight, if you care about the sanctity of your vote, if you really care about real issues that affect this country, let's see, President Trump created, almost 7 million new jobs over the past 3 years. Almost 7 million fewer Americans are on food stamps. We now have the best employment situation since 1969. Record low unemployment for African Americans, Asian Americans, Hispanic Americans, women in the workplace, youth unemployment. For the first time in 75 years, the mob will never tell you this in the media, we are now a net exporter of energy and are completely energy independent, which, by the way, it's time to send Washington a message. That means the Straits of Hormuz are less strategically, geopolitically important than they've ever been to this country. What happens in the Middle East, we don't necessarily need to get involved in entanglements that we otherwise would have in the past. You might want to tell your representative, you don't pay them to spend every second of every day, every year after year, hour after hour, trying to destroy a duly elected president. That's what elections are for. Now, you can tell them you're done with this BS, you're done with the political games, you're done with the never-ending witch hunts, and President Trump was duly elected by we, the American people, in spite of deep state efforts to, spy on him and use Russian lies, or, to quote the New York Times, likely Russian disinformation from the get-go, and that would be Hillary's dirty dossier after, the deep state saved her from going to jail. That would be the Espionage Act. And by the way, I wouldn't try it at home. What Hillary did, if you have emails that are subpoenaed, I wouldn't delete them. I wouldn't acid wash your hard drive with bleach bit, and I wouldn't bust up your devices with hammers, because then you'll be charged with obstruction of justice, something they protected her from. It's been 3 years now. It's time for them to get over. They lost. Try and beat Donald Trump at the ballot box. I don't think you believe you can. And by the way, that won't happen if they nominate sleepy, creepy, crazy Uncle Joe 30330. Thanks to the left's Ukraine hysteria, they have now done America a favor, because now Joe Biden is finally getting exposed, and some richly deserved attention for his own Ukrainian scandal should shock the conscience of every American.